Hi, this is Ashley.
And Maggie.
And you're listening to The Watering Hole, a place where animals and animal enthusiasts regularly drink. Every episode we'll talk about different animals and why they're cool, from basic biology to the threats they face and what people are doing about it. All while under the influence.
Did you time yourself there?
Why no, I don't know why I looked at my watch. I think I just realized how blatantly obvious it was, and that
you were wearing a watch.
I guess I've been wearing for months now. I don't know. I'm easily distracted.
It would be obvious if if you have short sleeves on.
Well, I think it's because the sleeves aren't usually I usually like my sleeves to I like to be able to hold them. You know, like yours.
Like mine, yeah.
These are a little short. That's okay.
Well, you have long arms. I have short arms.
I was going to tell Maggie a story, and then I was like, wait, I'll tell this on camera. And now I feel while we're recording, and now I feel like it's not good enough.
So it's not Cyndi Lauper.
It's not Cyndi Lauper. We've had this discussion now. For those not in the know.
Oh my.
Not in the know. I told Maggie this. This is so bad. It's like I forgot how to podcast.
We just forgot how to speak.
I don't know. I was telling Maggie that I often make the comment when I'm doing something, if I say it's not good enough, that it's the Cyndi Lauper treatment.
That it is good enough. Not good. You just said
oh, sorry, that it's good enough.
Oh my God.
Jesus. I felt so good. I felt so confident going into it. But when I'm doing something, and if I say it's good enough, or someone says it's good enough, I say it's the Cyndi Lauper treatment, because her song, Good Enough for Me, it's enough. Anyway, and so then I can sing it a little bit, and nobody ever laughs or
so maybe it's time to retire that joke.
But it makes me happy.
Oh yeah.
Because it reminds me of the Goonies, and I love the Goonies.
Oh, what a great movie.
But no, never once have I gotten a reaction. And then I was telling Maggie how I never got a reaction, then I told her, no reaction. None. And to be fair, I wasn't doing it justice, because I was usually it's set up for me, you know? And then I was trying to set myself up.
You were stumbling on the setting yourself up.
And I still am.
So here, listen, if it makes you feel any better with regard to no people laughing. So,
always.
Here you go. This is terrible. So in college, senior year of college, we had to go around the room and say something interesting about ourselves.
Argus doesn't think there's anything interesting about you.
He's like, and she didn't say me. You weren't around. So I could have at that point been like, oh, I've studied abroad. I work at the newspaper. I've interviewed such and such. I could have said any number of legitimately cool things. Instead, I said that I one day envisioned climbing to the top of President's Hall in a cape. And no one laughed.
I'm so surprised. But don't worry, because Maggie's laughing now, and I bet she was laughing then.
It was crickets.
Oh, and you were in grad school?
I was in college.
Senior in college.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Final semester of college. You'd think that I would have figured it out by then.
Nope.
I embarrass myself daily, and one day I hope to climb the top of President's Hall in a cape. No one laughed.
Nothing.
Well, look at me now, folks.
Our audience at home is yeah.
It's not funny.
That's great. It's great. No, I think we've established now that Maggie and I are very funny people. But now our humor comes unintentionally from fucking up. Anything else about how funny we are, or should we just jump in?
Should we just leave it?
Also, do you remember when you told me that I would name my documents in our shared Google Drive of my research, and then you could see the name so you could know. So I started naming them random things. Mm-hmm. Or bet you can't guess this one. Well, funnily enough, the way I named them this time was he, it's the name of one of the documents, and the other one is ha ha ha. And it turns out I need to start with he. That's the first one.
That is a good note, because I've started saving my documents too as either my clue or
Oh,
gibberish.
Gotcha. I've never seen your documents pop up, so I don't know how or why. I have a bubble in my throat. Oh, weird.
I don't know. I don't know how that happened that one time.
Yeah, but now I'm nervous.
I know, you can't mess it up.
Whew, all right. Are you ready now?
Let's hear it.
For my hee 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 hee? That's not the clue. The clue is really pretty easy, though.
Clue is pretty easy.
The clue made me laugh, which is probably why I named it hee hee hee.
You were giggling at your own joke again.
Yeah, what's new? All right, clue. Ready?
Yeah.
The opposite of smooth.
Ruff.
You got it!
What's that?
Do you know what a ruff is?
I know what a
To be fair, it's not spelled
diamond
that
in the rough. That's
Yeah, it's not spelled that way.
How is it spelled? Ooh, that's a fun game.
R-U-F-F.
I was gonna just guess that, but
Oh,
you
sorry.
Jumped the gun.
To be fair, what's the third way of spelling ruff?
I don't know. I was gonna come up with a really unique way of spelling it, like
Silent T.
R-U-P-H.
Oh, yeah. No.
Nope.
This is just R-U-F-F.
Okay, so what are we learning about?
Oh, so you don't know what this is. Maybe you'll know when I tell you. It's
Maybe.
a kind of bird.
Oh, okay.
Do you know?
Maybe just keep going.
Okay.
Maybe.
every sentence. Do you know now? No, but I'm here to teach you. So the ruff, or Calidris pugnax.
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 That was my friend's name in Latin class.
Is, as Ebert described it, a bizarre and unique shorebird in the family Scolopacidae.
Oh, you
So
know who
this-
probably knows about this?
Huh.
Adam.
Oh, ooh. They
Shorebird.
they are found in the U.S., but they're more commonly found in European countries.
Sometimes you just have to go with it.
Yep. But we'll jump right into what they look like,
Yeah.
because clearly you are not familiar.
Nope.
My brain is broken. Okay.
Really?
But like I said, it's important to start off what they look like. But I feel like in reading more about them, the internet's like pretty harsh.
Oh.
Which they can be like kind of, because they're not ugly birds at all, actually, as we'll get to. But they're just like, okay, so one of the things says, the ruff has a distinctive gravy boat appearance. Another one,
That's
a
sad.
small head, a short, slightly droopy bill. The ruff is a long-necked, pot-bellied bird.
This poor bird.
Right?
The butt of all jokes.
mean. But in reality, they kind of look typical to like other shorebirds.
Yeah.
They're similar to like other sandpipers. Females have these brownish gray bellies. They have kind of these darker feathers on the back. Relatively short, kind of dark bill that I guess droops a little bit. So nothing quite fantastic about their bill.
Yeah.
Their legs are anywhere from a dull to a bright orange. And I will admit their head does seem a little bit small for their body. Honestly, if you didn't say anything, you wouldn't
have
notice.
noticed.
That's kind of like Ollie. Normally, he's fine. Then you're like, his head's a little small. And then you're like, yeah, his head is a little small for his body.
He has a tiny little head.
Yeah, he's got big old eyeballs, though. Yeah. So I said small. They're about 20 to 32 centimeters in length, weigh between 70 and 150 grams, and have a wingspan of 46 to 58 centimeters. So like average shorebird.
Bird size.
Bird size. Like a lot, like...
Looks like a bird.
Looks like a shorebird. So you might be like, "What, Ashley, why did you pick this average-looking shorebird?" Because the males are not average.
Oh.
I wrote, but the males don't do anything because of a boy, but the males are the reason that I picked this animal. So do you know what a ruff is? Not the bird, but like the other version of a ruff.
Is this a trick question?
No. A ruff is an object, particularly an object of clothing.
No, I don't know that.
So a ruff is, think of like Shakespeare, the big exaggerated collars are called ruffs.
Oh.
So they're the exaggerated collar.
I see where this is going.
Fashionable from the mid-16th century to the mid-17th century. And that is an incredible accurate way of describing what the males develop during the breeding season. So males during the breeding season develop these really huge ornamental ruffs, ring of feathers around their necks. They're highly variable in color and usually have any kind of combination of black, white, or reddish brown.
Okay.
Like I said, though, those big feathers go all around their neck, and then they also have these kind of brightly colored head tufts as well that tend to look a little different, or like a different color.
Okay.
And then their males also have a bright colored face during the breeding season. Usually it's some shade of orange, but I saw pictures of ones that were more yellow, ones that were more red. Mm-hmm. Some shade of orange. Isn't it yellow, just orange without red? And then I wrote, put a pin in this, because we will get back to those feathers, but I want to take us back bigger picture. Not focus on the boys so much, but focus on everybody.
On the birds.
Yeah. So they are a migratory species, breeding in northern Eurasia. Thank you. And wintering mainly in the tropics of Africa.
Thank you? Like, who
To myself.
Yeah, who delivered
that I was right. They are, though, uncommon visitors to Alaska, Canada, and the U.S. So I think that means they don't have like breeding grounds and migration routes the same way they do in Europe to Africa.
Yeah, they unexpected. Yeah, that's like the Steller sea eagle in Maine, or the
but they're not like a vagrant so much.
Oh,
like
okay.
they still come regularly. Like you can regularly.
they do
see
regularly.
them, but they don't. I don't think they don't have like breeding grounds the way that they do in Europe.
They're just vacationing.
Heck yeah.
Okay.
They've also wandered to Iceland, Middle America, Northern South America, Madagascar, and New Zealand. Vacationing.
Yeah.
But that's more, I think, where they're vagrants, where they just kind of show up.
Okay.
But it was funny because I was looking at pictures of eBird on eBird,
of the app.
and like the first ones that came up were ruffs in the Montezuma Wildlife Refuge, which is the one really close to my hometown.
Oh.
Which is it's like an hour and a half from my parents' house.
Montezuma Wildlife Refuge.
National Wildlife Refuge. Yeah.
National.
Mm-hmm. But isn't it funny that like they live in like I'm thinking about how they're in Finland and Norway and Sweden, and the first two pictures come up are in
That's
this
pretty cool.
wildlife refuge. So I'm like, well, now I need to go and see them. And then in those areas, they prefer grassy marshes, mud flats, flooded fields. Unlike other shorebirds, they don't like open sandy beaches. They need a little bit of grassy bitches. That's not what I meant.
You're broken tonight.
Wow! Grassy beaches. Wow. I'm like 3 sips into a beer, man.
Oh my god.
Wow, I said that so straight face. Moving on, during the breeding season, they eat almost exclusively terrestrial and aquatic insects like beetles and flies and their larvae. When migrating, however, they have a much broader diet. They'll eat insects, crustaceans, spiders, mollusks, worms, frogs, small fish, and also the seeds of rice and other cereals, such as grasses and aquatic plants.
Other cereals?
I read that, I was like, they're just chomping on Lucky Charms as they fly.
Some Cinnamon Toast Crunch. When do I get to look these guys up? When would be an appropriate time?
Soon.
Okay.
Funnily enough, while I was reading about them, they're often compared to, or like along the lines of a bar-tailed godwit, which is what you did. But I remember one thing about the godwit is that they like had to really fatten up before migration because they just flew really far and like they'd like rearrange their organs and stuff. Well, because these guys eat they'll eat while they migrate. They don't have to do that, so they do increase their body mass, but not nearly at the way that the godwits do, because they'll stop and snack. So I'm all on board for how the ruffs do it because I am a snacker when I am
traveling on a road trip.
I was gonna say road tripping, but my brain didn't want to get there. But okay, that pin from earlier, we're back there because we're talking about the males and we're talking about breeding season.
Beautiful.
We have leckers. Now, I don't know if that's a real term, but basically these gentlemen form leks. These gentle birds, which feels appropriate because they have these big ruffs. For those who don't remember, we've talked about leks before, but basically they're these open, in this case, grassy arenas where males compete for females by showing off their courtship rituals. And in this case, it's the ruffs showing off these big feathery ruffs. So you may take a look now if you would like.
I would like to do that.
I would also like to point out the reason I picked, this isn't the reason I picked them, but they are in one of the expansion packs for Wingspan.
Oh, good Lord.
So if you get a ruff, now I want to go back and like look at the card and see how accurate it is, because they're usually pretty good.
Oh, wow.
Have you seen them?
Look at that little guy.
Aren't they crazy?
And you said they're rough. They're ruffs. That's what it is.
Yeah.
They can be different colors, right?
Yeah, so they're different shades, and now we're going to get into like some of them are more extreme in the differences.
Okay.
So roughly 84% of males are territorial males that have the black or chestnut colored ruffs.
Okay.
Or some version of that, the darker colors, and they are particularly aggressive. They're also site faithful, so they return to the same lack year after year. About 90% of them do this, which is helpful because then they know their competitors and who they're, strutting their stuff for and everything.
They're like walking by and they're like, George,
now you might.
see you again.
I picture like a little ruff doing that.
Yeah.
I see you.
Yeah.
Now, roughly 16% of males, you might see pictures, are satellite males, who are easy to identify because they have white or mottled ruffs and are slightly smaller. So the white ones are different. They're not just like, they look different. They have a different breeding strategy.
Oh.
And they don't occupy the territories. They will still enter and attempt to breed with the females, but they're not like doing the big, look at me,
They will
I
still
live here.
enter the lek.
The lek.
Okay.
And they are tolerated though by those territorial males because it makes the lek more attractive to females. That there's like
Activity.
That there's activity. That there's more birds there. The bigger the lek,
Yeah.
You're going to the big bar,
Yeah, exactly.
kind of thing. And then I was reading a little bit. I didn't get into it because I took too many notes. I got too deep. But in terms of mating styles, it's believed mating styles are inherited, and whatever mating style is inherited, then that affects your body size and appearance.
Yeah.
They were like looking at like, is it like what's being fed or something like that, and they don't think it's food related.
Okay.
So why does this strategy work though? Even though like you would think like the big males who own the lek are going to be the ones who are getting all the goods,
The ladies?
the ladies. So why are these males slightly smaller but still like successful? Satellite males don't have to expend energy to defend a territory and can spend a way more time foraging, so they don't need to be as bulky as these big resident males.
I see.
And still get a little bit of success.
Even though they can spend more time foraging, you said.
So they don't get as tired easily. They don't expend as much energy. So they're also flying from lek to lek. They don't have one lek that they stay at. I said there's roughly 84% males that are these territorial, 16% males are these satellite males. That's 100%, right? Wrong! I mean, it is 100%, but I said roughly. So,
And that is the name of the game here.
I'm building up my drama. So there is actually one more type of breeding style.
Okay.
1% of males, less than 1%,
Okay.
are fader males. Fader males, spelled Faeder. I know. Or also known as cryptic males. And these are males that are permanent female mimics.
Ah.
So they have the same kind of duller plumage. They don't have a ruff.
Oh my gosh.
They look just like the females. And the way that they succeed is they basically steal matings from the other males because they're not competing and showing off. They kind of just sneak on in.
This is crazy because I just started watching Prehistoric Planet on Apple TV.
Tell me more.
And I don't remember which pterosaur it was, but it was like one of these massive flying dinosaurs, a pterosaur, where the males are huge and they have these giant like antler looking things coming off of their heads, and one male defends a whole territory, and he has the right to breed with all the women, all the females. What am I saying?
All the women.
And then there was a smaller, much smaller, he was the same size as the females, male, that came in and snuck in and got to like breed with the females because he was mimicking what they looked like.
Yeah, and no one's trying to fend you off or like think you're competition.
And the giant male like Prehistoric Planet just blew my mind because they basically are like simulating what dinosaurs did.
Yeah.
And it's like Planet Earth, but with dinosaurs. And David Attenborough is narrating the whole
it's
thing.
Wild.
Have you seen it?
I only watched one episode and it was like the Brontosaurus type things that were like heading up to the volcano. I was so engaged.
But anyway, so it showed that the massive male pterosaur was trying to court the small male because he thought he was a female.
Gets him every time.
Apparently it does. It's been working for 66 million years.
But funnily enough, or weirdly enough, this is... Oh my God, I lost my place. This is the only known example of cross-dressing in birds, so where they wear the plumage of a female.
Yeah.
Whereas in fish, I know it's been seen a couple of times in gobies and like wrasses, like kind of the small like ones that like live under rocks. I remember learning about cuttlefish also do this. I remember learning in college about like, I don't know if it was sticklebacks, but some other fish species. So fish species, not common, still really cool, but there are multiple ones, and this was the only bird species. And it was only identified that they did this or reported in 2006. And yeah, which is really cool. But no, I also wrote, even though they don't have the large ornamental feathers, apparently they do have larger internal testes than the other males. So maybe that's part of the success of it.
Interesting.
There's
gotta be something there. Some joke.
Ruffs have the highest level of polyandry, which, did you know that there were levels? I didn't. Among known avian lekking species or shorebirds. So more than half of the females mate with and have clutches fertilized by more than one male. So polyandry is many males.
Many males or many?
Many males. So lots of males, one female. Whereas polygyny is one male, many females.
Yeah.
And the reason this works is that males take no part in raising the young, so there's no like, I need to defend my young kind of thing, which is why the only way really polyandry works. So females just raise the young on their own. They'll lay 4 eggs in a shallow nest that's kind of just a scrape in the ground that they line with leaves and grass. They're concealed by the marsh plants and tall grass, which is why they like grassy beaches. Grassy beaches. The chicks hatch after 20 to 23 days and then fledge after 25 to 28 days, and they only have 1 brood each year.
Okay.
In terms of conservation,
how they doing?
They're doing pretty good. There was a time, this is just one specific example, again, they're kind of across the top of the world. Eurasia, into Canada, they have a big range of a population of at least 2 million birds.
Okay.
When they were last assessed in 2016. But in the past, we liked to hunt things. I mean, people still do. But these birds almost went extinct in the 1880s in England specifically because of trophy hunters and egg collectors. They often would catch them for food too, and they would like net the birds while they were lekking because they were in one space.
Why do we have to ruin everything?
But again, this is just one example. I'm sure it happened elsewhere. But they did recolonize some ruffs in England, so they do have a population there, although that's not where they're most populous. Like I said, they now have a population of at least 2 million birds, so they're least concerned. They're doing fine. Obviously, they still have threats. They love wetlands, so any kind of wetland or floodplain drainage, especially when they're doing habitat development, is really bad for these birds. Peat extraction, which peat is like that mossy kind of grassy substance or whatever that you get out of wetlands. I forget what it's used for, but...
Scotch.
Oh, I didn't know that. So you Scotch drinkers. That one's to blame. But then pollution, global climate change. Kind of the all of it. But yeah, that's ruffs.
Ruffs. Wow.
The ruff. Highly encourage looking them up. They were featured on one of the episodes of The Mating Game, which is the BBC series, Natural History series. Which is where I did first see them. But they're really, really cool and just...
That is very cool. I can't believe that there is just a bird called a ruff.
Right? It sounds fake.
It does.
Just when he answered, I was like, that's it.
That's it. Congrats, you got it.
You got it. That's like, all it is.
A ruff what?
A ruff what? That's what I was waiting for you to be like, and the next clue is That's it.
Instead of
But I'm
just
so
saying
glad I got to introduce you to a new
ruffs.
bird.
Wow.
Also, there's just like so much variation, and they live in such like a wide, expansive place that I'm just amazed that they're one species.
I can't believe that you said it's the only example of this kind of cross-dressing
In birds.
in birds.
Correct.
Wow.
The males having the female plumage. That's their mating
Really?
strategy.
That's crazy. Wow.
And that line was specifically from David Attenborough himself. So,
Well,
he definitely wrote that line. So.
well, then you gotta believe him.
Right? Gotta believe him.
If David Attenborough said it,
I mean, maybe, I don't remember when that show came out, so maybe I think it's not elsewhere
I
as well.
bet it's still up to date. Wow. Very cool.
See, it was a he kind of animal.
So, are you ready for my animal?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, here's your clue.
It's hard, isn't it?
Its colloquial name is just the name of the male version of this species.
Peacock.
Yep.
Oh, girl.
Very good.
That's my favorite thing to do. Would be like, actually, did you know that it's peafowl? And then I push my glasses up. Did you know it's peafowl?
So I'm so glad that you got it right away because I think it's so funny that you did an animal where you're like, don't do anything just because of
He's a
men.
boy.
But here's a species that has a really fascinating male.
And it's all because they're pretty boys.
And that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm doing a pretty boy. So I am doing the peafowls, of which there are 2 species.
Wait, can I guess them?
Sure.
Well, I know one's the Indian peafowl.
Yeah.
I don't know what the other one is because I only just know Indian peafowl because that was the one that was in Zoo Tycoon.
Oh my God.
But I don't know what the other one is.
You're right, because it is the national bird of India. The other one is the green peafowl.
Oh.
The Indian is also known as the blue.
Oh, okay.
So that's where you get blue and green. The green peafowl is found in Southeast Asia, so they are very close to one another. The Indian is just only found on that subcontinent.
Gotcha.
There's also the Congo peafowl, but it's not a true peafowl.
It's a fake, fraud.
It's a fraud. It's just a cousin, distant
Those
relative.
cousins are fraud.
Yeah. Okay, so peacocks, I mean, everybody knows what those look like. It's one of the most easily recognizable examples of sexual dimorphism in the entire animal kingdom. The females or hens are brown and drab, and they don't have long tail or train of feathers. So you got them. Then you have...
Moving on.
Moving
More
on.
Interesting side of the species.
You've got the males, which have an iridescent blue head, neck, and breast. It is like peacock blue.
Oh, they have their own color.
They sure do. Oh, it really is beautiful. And then they can have a black and white striped body, and then they can have white eye patches or like circles around their eyes, essentially. They also have little tufts of blue feathers that can come out of the top of their head. There are tons and tons of color variations within Indian peafowls, or peacocks, as I'm going to just refer to them as. And
That's not the boys here.
because, right, let's be honest. And that's because they've been selectively bred for centuries to look a certain way. Like, so many peacocks, peafowls are not really wild anymore.
They're always like walking around hotel lobbies.
I know, they really are. So in grad school,
Bonkers.
there were 3 of them or more that lived at like the cathedral down the street from our campus.
So weird.
And then, well, the reason I chose them is, yes, they're very pretty, but the farm near my house growing up, they had a couple of them, and you could always hear them, which we'll get into that in a second.
Here.
Okay, so how big are they? Most people probably know how big they are, but from bill to tail, they're about 39 to 45 inches, 100 to 115 centimeters. But that's not quite it. 39 to 45 inches. That's a yardstick. Yeah, there you go.
It's just a little off.
You were half that.
I was just lazy. I didn't want to extend my arm.
You were like, how about this big?
Watch us on YouTube and see how much I cannot determine sizes.
You were
My
careful
tape
about it,
measure is
too.
too far away.
It's right behind you. So I just said the tail, but a lot of people think that their tail are those feathers. No. Their tail is like
That's what I was gonna ask. That's why I was like,
they're roughly the same size as the peahen, but their train can grow up to an additional 77 to 89 inches.
damn.
Oh yeah. So it's
Closer.
really long. They are kind of heavy. They can be 8.8 to 13.2 pounds. That's 4 to 6 kilograms.
Oh,
I think that's heavy.
I guess for a bird.
For a bird, that's heavy.
Yeah.
In their family, they're in the same family as wild turkeys. Turkeys are heavier. Did you know that?
Dang. Did not know that.
Okay.
Oddly, I don't know the weight of a turkey off the top of my head. That is an ability I lack.
I would say like Thanksgiving, but neither you nor I are eating turkey.
No.
at
And those also
well,
come
I
in
do eat
so many
turkey.
different sizes. Right?
And the turkeys that we see at Thanksgiving are just jacked full of steroids.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. The turkeys in Maine, I just can't stand them. They're everywhere. They're a nuisance.
Oh.
They're constantly in the road, slowing down traffic. In Maine, you don't get traffic jams because of cars. You get traffic jams because of fucking turkeys crossing the road. It's just the worst.
My grandpa hates the turkeys in Massachusetts. Apparently the New England turkeys are off to...
The New England turkeys are
something else.
just, they've got an attitude problem.
I mean, so do the New Englanders, to be fair.
I'm fine with that. Okay, so like I just said, I heard them at the farm near my house growing up. They have the most common call that we're probably all used to hearing. It's a peafowl or a may-aw.
Oh, yeah. Maggie? Wow.
I love it. It's a noise that reminds me of home.
It's good. It reminds me of the like zoo near where I live, my hometown. Syracuse Zoo has peacocks that wander around,
lovely.
and so that makes me think of hearing it at the zoo.
Yeah, they're great.
We're like a zoo that makes sense to have peacocks.
More so than a cathedral. The
Or
frequency...
a farm in Pennsylvania.
That's a little bit better than a
I guess.
cathedral.
Oh, yeah.
So those calls, what do those calls mean? It's typically to indicate the presence of predators. Yes. It's an alarm bell. That's what they're, what?
The way you said yes. Like you didn't see that one coming. Well, it's kind of what they are a lot of times. Still cool.
They also make other call noises in rapid series of a,
You gotta do it.
no, because this is the noise that I just made.
Oh, awkward.
Yeah. Because I didn't know how to, whatever. We'll just take that out.
No, we won't.
They also make the same noises in rapid succession.
There you go. That's different.
They will also emit an explosive, low-pitched honk when agitated.
Oh.
You gotta squat down when you say it.
Yeah. I guess the only bird noise I can make. That's probably wrong.
I'm sure you can make other boyd noises. What's that?
I don't know.
Where in India are they found? What kind of habitat do they actually like that isn't a hotel lobby?
They actually prefer it. It's weird. They love the concierge.
If given the choice, a hotel lobby or moist deciduous forest at a low elevation, they would probably choose the forest.
Different than a lobby.
But they can and have adapted to live in cultivated regions and all around human habitat.
And hotel lobbies.
In many parts of northern India, they're actually protected by religious practices and are given free rein to wander towns and be given scraps of food.
Nice.
So, if they are native to India and Southeast Asia, why are they found all over the world? History suggests that they were introduced to Europe by Alexander the Great.
Oh.
Yeah.
Introducing an invasive species, not so great.
Alexander.
Sorry. There's little Hamilton.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was like, do you know an Alexander that like you're in love with secretly? Where did that go? Where did that come from?
Losing it.
Okay, they're a very celebrated bird in Hindu and Greek mythology. So once they made their way across the continent, other cultures really just took them in. I tried. If you couldn't catch that on the podcast,
I bet you could. Maggie really tried to power through her dog moaning on the floor.
He was making a lot of noises, and then right when you thought he was done,
He wasn't.
He wasn't. He kept going. So the word peacock, the earliest known use of that word is in 1300, and Chaucer, the poet, used it in a simile, proud as a peacock, which is the first time that we've heard a peacock being referred to as kind of vain, which like peacocks... Oh, you're peacocking, right?
Yeah.
Which is just to be like you're showboating or you're showing off.
Which is basically any bird with feathers. So you're ruffing.
You're ruffing, yeah.
Proud as a ruff. You know? Let's change the saying.
Keep sashaying your shoulders,
I'm going to keep
Ashley.
saying that. I'm going to make a catch on.
You're going to say, that's so fetch.
It's so rough. That's a different context.
It doesn't make any sense. Because it makes sense. It makes sense. That's rough. Okay. So let's talk about those tails.
Yeah.
Let's just finally get into it, shall we? Because apparently I have a lot more that I didn't realize I wrote.
It sounded like you were winding down.
I thought I was too. I'm not.
All right, buckle in.
Okay. So the tail itself, like I said, is brown and short, just like the peahen. The colors result not from any green or blue pigments, but from the microstructure of the feathers and the resulting optical phenomenon.
Dang.
So it's how their feathers are catching the light. If you do look at a true peacock feather and not like a fake one that you get in like a costume shop.
Joanne Fabrics.
Yeah, because they're all over. You can see like microscopic, tiny, tiny little, there's a name for it, but I don't know it. Pieces to that feather. Okay. The long train of feathers, also known as coverts or tarsal spurs, of the male only develop after the second year of life, and they are fully developed by 4 years. In northern India, they begin to develop in February, very specific. They're always on cue, like on season.
Nice.
But then they molt those tail train feathers by the end of August.
Oh.
So they only need them for the mating season.
Then you don't need them. Get rid of them.
Yeah.
Too much extra weight.
So what are they using them for? Well, we think, and you know, we all think, well, they're used for mating, right? Well, that wasn't always the case. We didn't always know what they were used for. There was a lot of debate for decades, centuries, I don't know.
A long fucking time.
For a long time. As to what they were used for. Darwin hated their tail feathers. He thought they were so useless. And here's...
Darwin, it's not up to you. I know you think it's all about you.
But the reason why they were not quite convinced that they were just purely for mating was because the feathers can I'm saying feathers, tail feathers, like it's all...
Yeah.
We've already established it's not just the tail, it's the coverts. They can get so gaudy and bold and beautiful and big that they actually become the opposite of useful in mating, in that they are too showy, too heavy, and the males can no longer, like, it's the opposite of selective breeding.
Yeah.
It's now become a hindrance, and females don't want to mate with them.
Ew.
Because it's too much.
Too much.
So it's too much of a good thing.
Ah.
So those males
I know
actually...
what that's like. I don't know, I guess I'm too much of a good thing. I guess that was the joke there.
I guess that was the joke, but I was about to say they end up dying out. and then you're like, So, yeah, but because those males are not selected, even though they're like something that we would probably...
You're fine.
We would probably consider so beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Or what we would select for.
Uh-huh. the females don't want that. And so
Dang.
they ended up choosing the more modest of the males. Anyway, because their feathers can grow so showy and unnecessary and useless, Darwin hated peacocks. He thought they were useless. He saw this. He kind of had the foresight, but he was once quoted in a letter in which he was just like, I hate peacocks. Really?
Did Darwin know about pandas?
Really loath
Because I feel like he would have strong opinions on pandas.
I'm sure he would have. Okay, so when they are using those tail feathers in the mating game, males will shake about and they'll vibrate to show them off.
Heck yeah.
And that's called a train rattle. Because they're rattling their train of feathers. In 2015, this is very cool. I'm ending on the coolest fact about
Perfect.
peacocks. In 2015, a study through the University of Manitoba up in Canada found that they are also making noise that we cannot hear when they're doing their train rattle.
Yeah.
So these are called infrasounds at low frequencies below 20 hertz that are totally, completely inaudible to us. We have no idea.
I was going to ask, I was like, are they infrasonic or supersonic?
Infrasounds. But they are very pertinent to the woman, the hen.
She likes the low little rumble.
She does. So in order to find out what these sounds were, the researchers used a low frequency mic, and then when they played the recordings back to other peafowl, they discovered that the rumbling infrasound actually inspired both males and females to be more alert and to strut and run around.
Heck yeah.
So it's like, it's a really positive, good sound that elicits not like, uh-oh, there's danger, but more like,
ooh, sexy time.
It's sexy time. It's probably something
Just play
Marvin
peacock
Gaye.
sounds. It's Marvin Gaye.
That's what it is.
That's what it is. Really low Marvin Gaye.
So how do they actually hear these sounds? They have special structures in their ears that it's made specifically for frequency perception. So it's not like hearing in the traditional sense.
Gotcha.
And I didn't quite understand this, and I didn't do any more research on it because, well, let's be honest, I just wanted to scratch the surface. But
That's all we do here.
But we have recently been talking a lot about how animals see the world in colors that we don't even know exist. And we haven't talked about how animals hear the world in ways we don't even exist. So the fact that this was like, this is hearing, but not in a way that we can really comprehend. I thought, wow, this is a bird that we do see everywhere, but it is really special and unique. And
Not just because of those feathers.
not just because of those feathers. It's talking and we don't even hear it. So needless to say, because peacocks and peahens, mostly just peacocks, just a bunch of bachelors, are found in hotel lobbies all around the world,
Yep.
they are doing just fine, least concern.
Fantastic.
So yeah, those are your peafowls.
Woo! Very cool. I like learning more about an animal that we all see everywhere.
Now
every
you can
hotel.
appreciate it.
Every hotel.
Yeah.
But now we can appreciate it for so much more than what it just
Yeah.
than its tail. Although the tail is pretty fucking cool, so.
It is a cool tale. But obviously, if you didn't gather from my terrible description of
I
peacocks,
think she
peafowls,
killed it.
you can tell I'm not a scientist. Neither of us are scientists. So please don't quote us in anything. Don't cite us. Ever.
Don't ever quote us.
We just want you to get excited about animals like we are so that you'll want to go learn more on your own. But thank you for joining us this episode. If you like our podcast, make sure you subscribe wherever you're listening and leave us a review. It'll help us reach other people just like you. You can also find us on Instagram at The Watering Hole Pod, on YouTube.
On your toe.
On YouTube. You can also find us on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at The Watering Hole Pod. You can also visit our website, thewateringholepod.com. Tune in next time when we learn about more animals, their biology and habitat, the threats they face, and what people are doing about it.
You sexy bitches.
You green bitches.